Maqasid Shari'ah is the foundation of national governance, and Malaysia has set towards a dynamic transformation based on Maqasid Shari'ah. The world's first Malaysian Sharia Index, the N50, i.e. National Transformation, Malaysian Aspirations, and Maqasid Shari'ah are its pillars. Maqasid Shari'ah is a concept referring to the accomplishment of benefits and the avoidance of harm or corruption. The objectives of Maqasid Shari'ah are to protect the Ummah as well as to discipline and organize life following the Islamic values and principles as expressed in the Quran and Sunnah. Muslim scholars have categorized the entire range of Maqasid Shari'ah into three categories of descending importance, which are Daruriyat, Hajiyat, and Tasinia, and each word has its interpretation and the concept itself. According to Ibn Ashur, Daruriyat is the things whose realization is vital to the community individually and collectively. The community social will not work efficiently if there is any abnormality in these things. So, there will be visible losses in the afterlife of the world. Sharia scholars believe that necessities are not limited to those designed to secure the existence of Muslims, but also include those that are key to protecting religion deen, lineage nas, intellect akal, wealth mal, and life nas. Second category of Maqasid Shari'ah is Hajiyat, which means conveniences or complementary needs. Compared to Daruriyat, needs are less important for human life. Hajiyat or free benefits are defined as benefits aimed to eliminating the severity and difficulty in cases where such severity and difficulty do not pose a threat to normal survival, such as shortening prayers and abandoning fasting by a sick person or a traveler, can be classified as Hajiyat. The last category of Maqasid Shari'ah is Tasinia, which is one of the benefits that Sharia aims to refer to as a category of human's necessity in beautification and perfection in the practices and actions that can embellish people's life. For example, free healthcare, social obligation, and having leisure time to meet the family. Besides, Tasinia also defines that it is important to improve the living conditions of an individual, hence the person will achieve a happier and comfortable life. In brief, the word infrastructure in developing country is countries that still being developed or still need to build main infrastructure, for example, hospitals, schools, or roads. So, how does Daruriyat, Hajiyat, and Tasiniat contribute to infrastructure development? And what are the implications of Maqasid Shari'ah not being practiced in developing infrastructure in developing countries?
The first fundamental values of Daruriyah is the protection of religion, which emphasizes the protection of faith for every Muslim from negative perspective that may lead to undermine his faith. Faith must be firm and steadfast, established in pillar of Iman. In achieving the goals in the development of infrastructure through the protection of religion, a country can establish and increase the religious institution that can help the community to learn more about religion knowledge. Hence, they can distinguish between bad deeds such as comic killing and stealing that can bring harm to people, and good deeds such as helping people in need. Consequently, the crime rate will be reduced significantly and lead to the boost of infrastructure development. Next, the protection of lineage is also part of the essential value which defines the continuation of human being through descendants. It means Islam strives to preserve Earth's humankind until to the last day. The goals can be achieved through the development of infrastructure in the protection of lineage by restricting the website and social media that contain porn and immorality content, which can lead to all harmful acts like force young children into early marriage and female genital mutilation. Hence, social ills such as rape, procreation, and abortion can be avoided for the bright future among the community. Moreover, the dignity of women and children will be protected, guaranteed, and prevented from the increase of death of newborns and children under 5 years of age which are caused by adultery. Another element that Maqasid Shari'ah tries to protect is the protection of intellect. Intellect can preserve human behavior by preventing all negative vibes that may influence a person's mind. The establishment of school can help the protection of intellect to achieve its goal because the community can seek the knowledge and practice it in helping the country to develop the infrastructure. For example, university graduates can contribute their energy to the advancement of the infrastructure and will not burden the country politically, socially, and nationally.
Next, the protection of life is also being highlighted in Islam. Islam tells us people to secure his life, which includes food, drink, clothing, and shelter, to be protected from any harm that can result to the demise and downfall of human life. To achieve rapid development through these fundamental voluntary activities, In research of medicines and the expansion of research and development R&D, in the medical field will protect public health and provide access to medicine. Last but not least, protection of wealth also takes part in the fundamental value. Wealth can be dispersed in a fair way and mutual consent among members of society. For example, by establishing a Baitul Mal center, the wealth can be transferred to the poor people and those in need of money. Hence, it will lead to a reduction of poverty among society and economic infrastructure will not be declined.
The second part of how does Maqasid Shari'ah Hajat contribute to infrastructure development. As we all know, Hajat is a need where even less essential to human being, and this includes marriage, interactive equipment, nutritious food, and means of transportation. The contribution of Hajat in the developing country can be seen from the pursuit of development and progress in the country. So, in terms of infrastructure development that can be benefit people in the developing country, it can be seen from the installations of rest and recreation place, i.e. R&R. As the R&R has been built, the pleasure of relaxing for the traveler seems to be more pleasant, and in the meantime can fulfill the 5 fundamental values in Darurat in terms of protections of deen, religion, as the traveler can perform the prayer in the prayer room, also can protect their life as they can find food to eat to avoid hungry at the food court.
The aim of Tasinia is to achieve beautification and perfection in our life. For instance, it is recommended for Muslims to make sure their body and clothes clean before practice their ibadah. Essentially, the principle of Tasinia is to satisfy the desire that permissible in Islam to give human life perfection and additional value. In addition, Islam encourages us to follow this aim in a correct way. Then, how the Tasinia contributing to the growth of infrastructure? As we know, the infrastructure gives many benefits to us. When it comes to make our life easier, the infrastructure is one of the main matters to be improved. The action of improving the infrastructure can be the practices of Tasinia in contributing the growth of our infrastructure. Other than that, the maintenance of historical buildings is one of the examples the practices of Tasinia in improving the infrastructure. In short, it is proven that the Tasinia is the important things in developing the infrastructure to give the beautification in our life.
There are some effects and implications towards infrastructure if Maqasid al-Shari'ah is not being implemented in developing it. Relating to Daruriyat that have 5 fundamental values, the first value, which is the protection of religion or deen, can affect the whole country if Maqasid al-Shari'ah is not being applied. For example, there might be a place that were built that is not beneficial or prohibited in Islam, such as club or pub. Besides, the protection of lineage also has relation to the development in the country. The government have to take responsibility in handling the welfare of the newborn and the single mom if social problems such as abortion and adultery occur. This can cause the government to have allocation expenses for them, and it will affect the country's finance that should be used for the development. While for the protection of intellect, we have to be responsible in protecting it, because if there is no infrastructure that can be the place to contribute the knowledge, where else will the people seek for the knowledge of the development? Moreover, another fundamental value of Daruriyat is the protection of life. If a developer does not care about the welfare and safety of his employees, it can lead to the death of them. For instance, there was a case that relates to this action, which was in Kuala Lumpur, that caused a landslide due to the structural conditions that are not strong enough. This shows that he did not perform the protection of life towards his development. Lastly, the protection of wealth can affect the good name of the country if a developer did a prohibited action such as corruption. For the second Maqasid al-Shari'ah, which is Hajiyat, the infrastructure development will not be so perfect as it is the complements of Daruriyat. Let's say that if there are no infrastructure development such as schools being built, definitely there will be no education place for people to study.
What are the impacts if Tasinia is not applied in society and infrastructure development? Several negative impacts may occur as a result of this matter, namely, the community living with discomfort, no improvement in society or infrastructure development, as well as the country will retreat due to an underdeveloped society. When it comes to discomfort living, society can no longer beautify the pattern of their lives. For example, they can only stay as long as they have enough life, while it can still be further enhanced as a purpose to provide comfort and happiness to themselves and their families. Therefore, the absence of the concept of Tasinia will lead to discomfort to the community. There are currently 47 countries on the list of LDCs, which is reviewed every 3 years by the Community for Development (CDP). As a result, it will make a country not emulated by other countries and even seen as an underdeveloped country, which aspires. Moreover, being impressed by a society that is not developed in morals, education, and attitude makes a country that is backward, because the reflection of the progress of a country lies with its people. Therefore, the concept of Tasinia is very important to be applied in society, especially on matters. Moreover, being impressed by a society that is not developed in morals, education, and attitude makes a country that is backward, because the reflection of the progress of a country lies with its people. Therefore, the concept of Tasinia is very important to be applied in society, especially on matters of national development progress, infrastructure development, community life, and self, because national progress is also measured based on progress in development.
To conclude, the first objective called Daruriyat, that has 5 fundamental values, has a connection with each other in the infrastructure development. The first of it is that the protection of religion. When the crime rate is diminished in the country, it will expand the development of infrastructure. Secondly, protection of lineage needs to be preserved because it will improve the country finance to deal with social ills. Another element of Daruriyat is the protection of intellect, which must be secure because the gain of knowledge can facilitate the country's infrastructure development. Apart from that, the protection of life is also emphasized in development because Islam demands us to safeguard our life in any conditions. The wealth can give advantages to infrastructure development in the fairness partition of wealth. The second objective is Hajiyat. It can be seen from the service of rest and recreation area, such as R&R in terms of infrastructure construction that can help people in the developing country. Besides, the practice of Tasinia can be seen when investment can improve the infrastructure in the country. In contrast, if Maqasid Shari'ah is not being implemented towards infrastructure development, it can give impacts to all the elements of it.